When we look at the verses of the Noble Quran, in which Allah Rabbul Izzah speaks about the month of Ramadan, then in between those verses, Allah Rabbul Izzah speaks about dua. And Allah Rabbul Izzah says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِ عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servants ask about me, say I am very close. أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I respond to the caller who calls to me. So what we learn from this is that the month of Ramadan has a very close link with making dua. And what is dua? Dua is that call from the heart to As-Sami Al-Basir, that being Allah who knows our inner conditions and He knows the call of our hearts. Our problem is multiple fold. Firstly, we don't make enough dua. Then, when we do make dua, it's more ritualistic. We render the dua, but we don't make the dua from our heart. If we'd like our duas to be accepted at times of adversity, we should make dua at times of prosperity. When it's something difficult, there's an exam, there's a calamity, someone's sick, yes, then we make dua. But what about dua at times of prosperity? Good times, at times of afiyah, to make dua under those times. And then also, when we look at our habit, we tend to make dua about our dunyawi things, our things related to this world. When one of the great scholars of the past said that we should be making more dua for our things of the akhirah. So in our daily, conversations, we'll say, make dua, make Allah's shukr, make dua. We say that often, but do we actually go and make dua? That is the question. When we look at how we should make dua, in the hadith it comes, Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijabah. Make dua in such a way that you have conviction that Allah will accept your dua. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَجِيبُ عَنْ قَلْبٍ لَاهٍ غَافِلٍ. Allah does not accept the dua of a inattentive, unfocused, negligent heart. If your heart is wandering and you're thinking about something else, then it's not dua. Dua is a direct connection, and therefore it is the essence of worship. It is the weapon of the believer. And because you are pleading before Allah and humbling yourself, that is why it's considered to be the essence of worship in itself. And when we look at the practice of our pious predecessors and how they made dua, once in Khurasan, there was a tyrant who was oppressing people. And they came to one sheikh by the name of Sheikh Uthman al-Hijri. And they said to him that we have this problem of the tyrant. So he asked, what do you want? So he said, we want you to make dua against him. So he said, okay. He said, okay, and then he retreated to his private quarters where he would make his night worship. And then he said, everyone should give some charity. And he then took an oath and he said, I take an oath in Allah's name. We will not perform the Fajr Salah until Allah grants us relief from the tyrant. And he started his worship and dua for the night. And the night passed, Fajr time came in, and everybody was waiting to see now what's going to happen. Because the Shaykh had taken a very bold statement to say, we will not perform Fajr until we have relief. And just before the Muazzin gave the Iqamah, the news came in that the tyrant had passed on. So this was the conviction with which he made dua. That he knew that Allah will accept it, and that is how he made dua. Either Allah grants us what we're asking for, or He averts from us a possible calamity, or He stores it as a treasure for us in the akhirah. And it is said that when we will see the treasures that have been kept for us as a result of our du'as, we would wish that not one of our du'as were actually granted to us in this world. So in this month of Ramadan, and at the moments that we have, tonight possibly being even an odd night, and it could possibly be a night of Laylatul Qadr. So we should be seeking moments of acceptance. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, أَقْرَبُ مَا يَكُونُ الْعَبْدِ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَهُوَ سَاجِدٌ. The closest you are to Allah is when you're in sajda. فَأَكْثِرُوا فِيهِ الدُّعَى. So make abundant dua while you're in sajda. If you're in salah, then you read the du'as that come in the Quran and the Sunnah. And out of salah, you fall into sajda before Allah and you make dua and pour out your heart. And that is one of the moments that you can make dua. Another instance when we should make dua while we're fasting, when we're about to break the fast, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the fasting person has an accepted dua by Allah. And that is part of the privileges that we have by fasting. Every night, Allah's special focus is on this world. And Allah calls out and He says, Hal min mustaghfirin. Is there anyone seeking forgiveness so I may forgive him? Is there anyone asking for anything so I may grant it? Is there anyone with any need so I may fulfill that need? And this is every night during the month of Ramadan. So we should seek those moments when we wake up early for the suhoor, that we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another way we can have our du'as accepted is that we make dua for someone else. So if there's something that you want, you make dua that the other person gets that, and then the angel says, Walaka bimithl, may you have the same. So if you want an improvement in your car, make dua for your brother, that he gets an improvement in his car, and the angel says, Walaka bimithl, that you should get the same. And then Allah, with the angel's dua, there's a greater chance of its acceptance. So because of this hadith that, walaka bimithl, may you get the same. There was one brother who every day iftar time he was making dua. He was making dua for his friend that he gets a wife. That he gets a wife. Oh Allah, grant my friend a wife. Grant my friend a wife. So one day he was making the dua and his wife came and gave him a smack at the back of his head. So he got a shock and he turned around and he said, what was that for? He says, I know why you're making this dua. Because you want the angel to say, Walaka bimithl, may you get the same, then you'll have a second wife. So when we want anything, make dua that others be granted, and inshallah that will be a means of our acceptance. Also special du'as for the people of Palestine who are going through a very, very difficult time. We should remember them. It shouldn't become normalized that we forget them. May Allah Rabbul Izzah ease their plight, and our du'as are continuously with them. And if it is possibly Laylatul Qadr, then we make the dua, Allahumma innaka afoon tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. Oh Allah, you are most forgiving, you love to forgive. Oh Allah, forgive me. May Allah grant us all forgiveness.